Next thing to talk about is your computer's performance. Obviously, all of these patches use memory and CPU and so on, and that's something you do need to bear in mind, because if you're not careful, you can very quickly get to the point where your computer can't handle any more than what you've got, and you can't add another patch, or you can't add another synth to the patch that you've got. So it's worth thinking about as you go along and trying to keep that extra headroom so that you can grow. So one of the things that I always have turned on is the CPU and memory inspectors. So obviously you can see the CPU and memory at the top. And then per patch, you've got the memory, and that's also on the channel strips. That's turned on here in the toolbar section of preferences. If you double click the CPU, you can also see this graph that shows you what's actually using the CPU. So if I just go, so I can see that EXS24 is using quite a bit of CPU whilst I was playing that. Serum's using a chunk, and the FabFilter Pro R, the reverb that I've got there, is also using a bit. But it's nothing crazy. It went up to 100%. So bear in mind that most computers have more than one CPU, so 100% isn't full. If one plugin is getting to 100%, that could be an issue. But if they all added up getting to 100%, they usually will still have some headroom spare. You can do a similar thing with memory. So you can see, which of your plugins are using memory. So bear in mind with the CPU, in general, it'll only be things that you're using in that patch. With the memory, it's across everything. So you can see here, Pianotech is using most memory for me, but that's because I have at least one instance on every single patch. One thing I've learned to avoid is using Kontakt. I think in this setup, I have maybe 1 or 2 Kontakt instruments. The reason for that is it just seems to load really slowly and takes a very long time to reload when you change your audio outputs. So I've tended to avoid using Kontakt wherever possible, unless that's the only instrument I've got. And also, as I mentioned really early on, I'm using the kind of built-in plug-in reverbs instead of the nice external ones. You did just see I had a FabFilter reverb there, so that was for a patch where I particularly wanted to use it. But if we look at my normal piano, I'm just using the built-in Pianotech reverb for that, which I think that sounds good enough for a piano, particularly once that's in a mix. And generally, the reverbs for plugins are kind of always on anyway. So if you use an external one, you're going to end up just kind of doubling up the CPU usage there.